were not raised to be powerful. You were trained to be manageable, useful, quietly available, easy to praise into staying still. That is what was done to you. Not weak, not stupid, not broken. Trained. Trained to apologize before you spoke. Trained to take responsibility without authority and call it being mature. Trained to keep the peace in rooms where the peace was costing only you. Then they sent you out into a world that does not run on the rules you were taught. School never prepared you for any of what life actually does to a man. It prepared you to sit still, raise your hand, and wait. It did not prepare you for the colleague who would smile while taking your idea. It did not prepare you for the woman who would love your warmth right up to the day she stopped respecting it. It did not prepare you for the long, quiet decade you would spend pretending the training was working when every honest part of you knew it was not. The more honest you were, the more readable you became. The more available you were, the cheaper you became. The more loyal you were, the more they counted on you staying, no matter how little they gave back. That was not bad luck. That was the training doing exactly what it was built to do. Last Tuesday, 3 in the afternoon, your manager interrupts you mid-sentence in a meeting. The interruption is not rude exactly. It is casual, habitual. He has done it for years. You apologize before he has finished the sentence. Sorry, you were saying. You hand him back the floor he was already taking. You smooth the moment for him so he does not have to feel the cost of having taken it. That apology was not yours. Watch who just spoke. The voice that delivered it has a name. The Regent. He has been ruling your kingdom for 30 years. He runs faster than your conscious mind. He arrived before the meeting started and decided what your posture would be before your manager sat down. By the time you noticed yourself apologizing, he had already done the work. He is the spine of this entire video. The 9 laws you are about to hear are the architecture that returns him to his proper position and puts you back on the throne that was always yours. Walk it forward one room at a time. The Regent is in all of them. In the room of your family, he is the version of your father you swallowed before you understood that swallowing was optional. You still apologize to your father with your shoulders. You still flinch at the sound of his approval. You cannot tell whether the man you have become would be a disappointment to him or a relief. The Regent took that file from you before you turned 12. In the room of your love life, he is the part of you that has built an operating system around your partner's unspoken weather. You can name exactly what she needs to hear at 3 on a Wednesday afternoon. You cannot name what you yourself need at any hour of any day, because the Regent was never trained to keep that file. He keeps hers. In the room of your friendships, he is the loyal one, the man who shows up, the man who lends the money and does not ask for it back, the man who suspects, somewhere underneath the politeness, that if he stopped showing up tomorrow, the silence would last longer than it should. That is the file the Regent has been keeping you out of. And in the room of your work, he is the dependable one. He says yes before you have read the email. He volunteers before the room has finished asking. He has been called dependable in every annual review for the last decade, while men with less talent and less integrity have been promoted past you. That was not bad luck either. That was the Regent doing his job, which is to keep you reliably available so that the people around you never have to renegotiate the value of your time. Stay with that. For the next 25 minutes, you are going to watch the 9 laws that dismiss him. Not the man you want to be, the Regent who has been ruling on your behalf since before you were old enough to refuse him. 300 years after Christ, a man named Diocletian became emperor of the Roman world. He commanded armies that stretched from Britain to Mesopotamia. And then, at the height of his power, with no enemy at the gate, he did something no Roman emperor had ever done before him. He stepped down. He walked away. He retired to a coastal palace and began planting cabbages. Most men tell this story wrong. They make it a parable about retirement, about finding peace. It is not. Diocletian did not retire because he was tired. He retired because he had looked at the Roman Senate and seen a room full of children playing with toys, and he had decided he was done pretending their game mattered. The garden was not a retreat. The garden was a fortress where nobody could reach his mind. Years later, when the empire began to collapse into the chaos he had warned them about, a delegation arrived at his palace and begged him to return. Diocletian is reported to have led them through his garden and said, "If you could see what I have grown here, you would never ask me to give it up." That was not pastoral. That was the cold voice of a man who had taken the only throne worth taking. The empire he had ruled had been external. The kingdom he was tending now was the one his own mind had finally returned to him. He had dismissed his regent. He had recovered the seat. The cabbages were the seal of his sovereignty. The Stoics had named the same thing 15 centuries earlier. Marcus Aurelius called it the inner citadel. He was not being poetic. He was describing a structural law of human power. A man who rules from his own throne is unmovable. A man who rules from a borrowed seat collapses the first time the seat is asked back. You have been ruling from a borrowed seat for 30 years. The first law is the one that takes it back. He may not rule a country. He may not rule a company. He may not yet rule his own street. But inside the kingdom of his own life, his own mind, his own day, he is the king, and his rule there is absolute. His mind is not a parliament that debates him. It is a throne room, and he sits at the head of it. He does not negotiate with his fear for permission. He does not ask his self-doubt for counsel. He does not apologize to himself for the man he is becoming. The trained man is ruled from inside by voices placed in him before he could refuse them. His mother's old fears, his first humiliation, the boy who learned at 9 to be quiet. The regent speaks for all of them in unison. The forged man has dethroned every one of them. He addresses his own thoughts the way a king addresses a courtier. He listens, he decides, he dismisses. He is not in service to his moods. They are in service to him. Tomorrow morning, when the first real decision of your day arrives, watch who answers. The man who answers before you do is the regent. Do not let him. 1 second of pause is enough. In that 1 second, the throne returns to you, and the decision becomes yours. Do that 300 times in the next 90 days, and the kingdom changes hands. The first kingdom is the inside. A man who has not taken that one cannot hold any other. The second law is the one most men get wrong before they have even sat down at the table. War is the base state. Peace is the intermission. The forged man does not wait for war. He assumes it. Every room he walks into is a low-grade theater of conflict in which most participants are pretending nothing is at stake. The colleague who agrees too quickly, the relative who has been suspiciously quiet since the inheritance came up, the friend who keeps suggesting drinks at a venue he can afford and you cannot. None of it is dramatic. All of it is a maneuver. He is not paranoid, he is awake. The trained man has been raised on the assumption that peace is the normal state and conflict is a malfunction decent people avoid. That assumption is not naive. It is doctrine. It was installed by people who needed him to interpret hostility as misunderstanding so that he would keep doing the work of repairing relationships that were extracting from him. This is the trap inside the second law, the charitable interpretation trap. Stay with that phrase. It is the place where most men lose 10 years before they notice the loss. The friend who slowly stopped reciprocating the favors and you kept calling it a phase. The colleague who began rerouting credit to herself in meetings and you kept calling it personality. The partner who began criticizing you in public and you kept calling it stress. Each of those was an opening engagement in a war you were refusing to recognize as a war because the training said, decent men interpret charitably. There is a real cost to charitable interpretation when the other party is not being charitable. The man who calls hostility misunderstanding loses ground at every encounter, not because he is weak, because his map of the room is wrong. And while we are on the topic of what you have been taught, you were also told that patience is a virtue. Now ask who benefits from you believing that. Not you. The institution that needed you to wait for the promotion. The partner who needed you to wait for the apology she was never going to give. The colleague who needed you to wait for the credit she was already redirecting elsewhere. Patience, as a universal virtue, is the rule the system needed you to accept, so the cost of waiting could be quietly transferred from them to you. Some patience is wisdom. Most patience is unpaid invoice. The forged man is not looking for fights. He is reading the room for what has already started. He does not escalate. He does not perform aggression. He simply does not pretend the war is not happening when it is. That alone changes how he is read. Tomorrow, when your manager asks for an urgent favor outside your scope, do not answer immediately. Pause. Ask what priority should be moved to make space for it. The regent will want to say yes before the question is finished. He has been answering on your behalf for a decade. He has lost you a decade. Make him wait. Peace is the gap between two wars. The man who forgets it pays the gap in interest. The third law is the one that breaks the most attachments and frees the most attention. Friendship is the story men tell about leverage they have not tested yet. The forged man does not have friends in the soft, unconditional sense the culture sells. He has alliances. Some are deep, some are shallow, some are blood, some are professional. None of them are without terms, even when the terms are unspoken. A man who believes his friendships are unconditional has not yet been useful enough to become expensive. The moment he becomes expensive, the terms emerge. This is the third law's hidden mechanism, the untested file. Every trained man carries a list in his head labeled friends and has never audited it. The file is full of names. The names have never been measured against behavior during scarcity. The names have never been measured against behavior during weakness. The names have never been measured against who showed up at the funeral and who did not. The file has been carried for decades unread. The forged man reads the file. He does not lower the names out of paranoia. He clarifies what each name is actually doing in his life. This one is a strategic ally. This one is a brother in arms. This one is a man whose presence sharpens him. This one is a man whose presence dulls him. This one is a man he loved at 22 and who is now a stranger wearing his old friend's face. The reading is cold. The reading is also the first thing a man does when he stops needing the comfort of having many names on the list. Two things change after the file is read. The first is that the depth of the remaining relationships increases because the attention you used to spread across 20 names is now concentrated on the 3 or 4 that have ever returned the investment. The second is that you become harder to manipulate because manipulation runs on the story you were telling yourself about the bond. When the story is corrected, the leverage evaporates. The regent likes the unread file. The unread file is how he keeps you generous to people who have been spending you for years. Friendship is the story men tell about leverage they have not tested. The man who tests it early stops being surprised by who shows up and who does not. Pause the diagnosis for a moment. Right now, you are either feeling exposed or feeling defensive. Both are correct. Stay here. Do not click away to process this alone. The men who click away at this moment are the men the regent recovers within the hour. You are 11 minutes into the architecture being named. 11 minutes is not enough for the dismissal to hold. Stay. The next 4 laws are the operating system. They are quicker. Stay with the build. The 4th law separates strategists from announcers. The forged man speaks of completed moves, not intended ones. The trained man announces. He tells his colleagues what he is planning to do next month. He tells his partner what he wants to be in 5 years. He tells his friend at the pub on a Thursday about the business idea he has been turning over for a year. He believes he is being open. He is, in fact, distributing his strategy to every potential interferer in his life for free. An announced plan is a plan already half defeated. The colleague who heard the strategy can root around it. The partner who heard the 5-year goal can begin shaping the next 18 months to ensure the goal does not threaten her sense of the relationship. The friend at the pub can borrow the idea quietly and bring it to market first, not out of malice, but because human beings act on the information they have. He does not become secretive. Secrecy invites scrutiny. He becomes specific about what he announces. He speaks of values, not plans. He speaks of completed moves, not intended ones. He gives the world a shape it can react to only when the shape is too far along to be redirected. Cardinal Richelieu ran France from behind the throne in the 17th century. The story at his court was that the worst place a man could be was on the list of Richelieu's enemies. The second worst was on the list of his friends. The safest place was the list nobody could find. He kept his strategy invisible until the move had landed. The court learned what he had been doing only after he had finished doing it. You have been operating without that discipline. The cost is the difference between the man you intended to become and the man you are. The intended man was announced repeatedly to every party who would benefit from him not arriving. Tomorrow, when your manager or your partner asks what you are working on, give a true and small answer. Not a plan, not a vision, a small completed step or a value. The regent will want to elaborate. He will want to be understood, seen, validated. Do not let him. The next move belongs to you, not to the room. An announced plan is a plan already half defeated. The forged man speaks of completed moves. The 5th law is the law that closes the leak. Most men do not even know they are running. He does not bleed in public. The bleed reflex is the urge to show the wound the moment a man is struck. Most men cannot resist it. They confuse being seen suffering with being understood. The colleague subtly insults your presentation in front of the board. The flash crosses your face, the slight stiffening of the shoulders, the half-second pause before you respond, slightly too eager to defend, slightly too sharp at the edges. He was not looking for a debate. He was looking for the flash. He was looking for the stutter. The flash is your coordinate. He has now logged it. He will use the same move again next quarter. The forged man gives him nothing. A calm, unblinking silence that lets the room wonder who is actually under pressure. No flash, no stiffening, no half-eager defense. The colleague who arrived hunting for a reaction leaves the meeting realizing he found nothing. And now he is the one who looks slightly off rhythm because the room saw him strike and saw nothing land. Every visible wound is a coordinate. The men and women who are measuring you do not need to follow you. They simply need to receive the coordinates you keep transmitting and adjust their move accordingly. He bleeds. He bleeds heavily, sometimes. He bleeds in private. He bleeds where he can bind the wound himself, or where one or two trusted alliances can bind it with him. He does not bleed in public, because the public is not a healer. The public is a survey. The Stoics never told men to fake strength. They told men to stop spending strength on audiences who had not earned the right to receive it. Tomorrow, when the colleague tries the same move, do not react in the moment. The regent will want to defend. He will want to correct the record. He will want to be seen as competent. Let the silence sit for 2 full seconds longer than feels comfortable. Then answer the substance, not the insult. The room will register the shift. The colleague will register it harder. Bleed where you can bind the wound. The unmarked man is read as undefeatable. The 6th law is where the 3rd law starts paying interest. Law 3 audited the names on the file. The 6th sets the price for who gets through the door. 1 is inventory. This is transaction. Access is the currency. He spends it like a king spends gold. Your time, your attention, your presence, your loyalty, your truth. These are not free emissions of who you are. They are coins. The trained man hands them out and wonders why no one values him. The forged man knows that everything given freely is received as worthless. Watch what happens when a man begins to make his access cost something. The same colleague who used to ask for 15 minutes of his time and forget the meeting was scheduled now arrives early, prepared, with a written agenda. The same partner who used to interrupt him 3 times an hour during focused work now waits. The same friend who used to call at midnight to download his week without ever asking about his now opens the call with a real question. None of these people changed character. The price changed. They responded to the new price. The mechanism is simple. The implication is heavy. Most of what you have been giving away has been received as worthless because of how cheaply you have made it available, not because of its actual quality. Your insight has been excellent. Your time has been excellent. Your loyalty has been excellent. You priced them at 0, and the people around you transacted accordingly. A king does not spend gold on petitioners who have not earned the audience. He does not therefore become miserly. He becomes specific. The court understands that the king's attention has value and structures itself around delivering reasons that justify the cost. Your life is your court. The petitioners are the people in it. The audience is your time. The gold is who you are. Tomorrow, when the request arrives that used to default to, yes, default to let me look at my week, 3 words. The regent hates them. He has been saying yes for 30 years. The 3 words break the reflex. The price moves within a fortnight. Everything given freely is received as worthless. Access becomes oxygen the moment it costs. The 7th law is the one that decides every negotiation before it begins. A man who negotiates from the need to be included has already lost. The forged man arrives at tables with terms, not requests. He has clarified, before he sits down, what he is here to do, what he is willing to exchange for it, and what would cause him to leave. If the room will not meet the terms, he leaves before the conversation softens him. The willingness to walk is the price of the seat. Every man at every table is reading whether the man across from him can walk. If the answer is no, The negotiation is over before it began. The terms will be dictated. The man who cannot walk will be told he is being treated fairly, and the soft version of him that needed to be at the table will agree. You have been the man who cannot walk for most of your adult life. The mortgage, the reputation, the relationship, the promotion that is almost in reach. Each has been a reason the regent has handed you for staying at tables that have steadily renegotiated the terms downward. The regent likes those reasons. They are how he keeps you small while making you feel responsible. A man's leverage in any negotiation is exactly equal to his willingness to leave it. Walking is not a tactic, it is a posture. The men who can walk are read as men who can walk before they even arrive. The men who cannot walk are read as men who will accept whatever is placed in front of them. The reading happens in the first 30 seconds. The negotiation is already over by the time the words begin. You have until now been the second kind of man. The man who set the table did not need to read your file. He simply needed to count how many doors you had open behind you. There were none. He saw it. He priced you accordingly. Tomorrow, before the next meeting that has been quietly costing you, name 2 terms in your own head before you walk in. If the meeting will not meet either, leave it within 20 minutes. The room will remember the next time it sets the agenda. The willingness to walk is the price of the seat. Every man at every table is reading whether you can. The diagnosis is the easy part. What comes next is the part most men will not do, because doing it costs them the version of themselves they have been performing for years. The last 2 laws are spoken to you directly. They are the moment the kingdom is handed back to you, on the condition that you are willing to occupy it. And when you reach the end of this video and want the architecture that walks you through what you have just built, the 4 levels of masculine will video on this channel is the path that runs through this same kingdom. The 9 laws build it. The 4 levels walk it. When you are ready, that door is in the description. You no longer warn. You no longer threaten. You no longer perform offense. When the strike comes, it is single, complete, and silent. When the cut comes, to a person, a habit, a contract that has begun to take more than it returns, you do not deliver a closing argument. You do not request to be understood. You do not need the other party to agree that the cut is fair. You do not even need them to know the cut is happening until after it has landed. Threatened force is the language of the weak. Announced departures are the comfort of the still needing. You are no longer either. You act once, finally, and you go quiet. Closure is a thing the trained man seeks. You give it to no one, including yourself. This will feel cold the first time you do it. It will feel almost cruel. That feeling is the residue of the training. The training told you that a decent man explains himself, gives the other party a chance to respond, walks away with the friendship intact. The training was never written for the forged version of you. The training was written for the manageable version, and that version has been served notice. The men and women you cut will tell other people you became cold. That is the correct response from inside the old system. The cold version of you is the version they can no longer manage. The version they could manage felt warm because warmth was the color of his surrender. Your warmth is no longer for general distribution. Your warmth is for the people who have earned the right to receive it. That list is shorter than it used to be. The list is shorter on purpose. That will cost you. It is supposed to. The man you have been was loved by people who loved the version of him that was easy to host. Some of them will not love the new man. They are not betraying you. They are recognizing that the contract has changed. Grieve them quietly. Bury the man they loved. Walk forward without him. You strike once. You cut without ceremony. The room behind you closes. There is one state every forged man arrives at, and it does not have a popular name yet. The closed kingdom. Slow down here. This is the line the whole script has been building toward. The closed kingdom is the operating state of a man whose interior is no longer open to invasion, whose throne is no longer up for negotiation, whose decisions are no longer published to people who did not earn the right to read them. When a man crosses into the closed kingdom, rooms begin to prepare for him before he enters them. He no longer adapts to the temperature of the rooms he walks into. He is the temperature. You have spent your life adapting. You read the mood of the room before you crossed the threshold. You softened your posture. You adjusted your language. You smoothed the edges of who you were so that the room would not need to recalibrate to accommodate you. The forged man does the opposite. He does not enter rooms. Rooms arrive at him. The men in the room measure their words. The women in the room measure their access. The colleagues in the room measure what they can still ask of him. They warm to him or they leave him. They no longer expect to be warmed to. The first 8 laws were the construction. The closed kingdom is the address. Law 1 took the throne back. Laws 2 through 7 taught the operating system. Law 8 ended the ceremony. The closed kingdom is what you are when the 8 have been running on you for 12 months. Diocletian was in the closed kingdom by the time he was tending his garden. The delegation that arrived to ask him to return found him there. They were the ones unprepared for the conversation. He had ruled the world. He had stepped down from it. He was unmovable, not because he had power over them, but because he no longer needed them to confirm who he was. The garden was the seal of his kingdom. You will not plant cabbages. You will live in a city, in a house, with a job, with relationships, with bills. The closed kingdom is the interior posture you carry into all of it. You will look the same to most people. You will be unrecognizable to the men and women whose readings depended on the older version of you. The trained man spent his life adapting to the temperature. You are the temperature. There is one sentence the men who have crossed into the closed kingdom are already saying out loud, often without knowing where they first heard it. I sit on my own throne. The regent is dismissed. Say it aloud where you are sitting, not for the channel, for you. The first claim a man makes on his own kingdom does not need an audience. The regent has been listening to everything else for 30 years. Let him hear this one in your own voice. If you want to seal it publicly, type the line in the comments below. The men who type it will recognize each other in the replies. And if you intend to keep that throne occupied tomorrow, subscribe. Not as a favor to me, as the architecture for the man who refuses to slip back into sleep. I sit on my own throne. The regent is dismissed. You were not raised to be powerful. You were trained to be manageable. Tonight, the regent has been named, the throne has been returned, and the 9 laws are running on you whether or not you decide to consent to them. This is your cold awakening.